I think there are some quality metrics that out there that have been proposed. We covered some of them in a research report we did last year, the State of Software Supply Chain report. I wrote a chapter in that in last year's report that covers some of these quality metrics and sort of the pluses and minuses, sort of charts that space out. And there is variation across projects in terms of how frequently they release new versions, how quickly they remediate security vulnerabilities when they're disclosed, what their contribution requirements are. So, how likely is it that malicious commit might make it into this project and thus, introduce a vulnerability into your software. That's a type of attack that we're seeing more and more of. And so it does benefit you to sort of think hard about each piece of open source that you pull in. When it comes to open source tooling, there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of opportunity for customization, right? When you pull that in, and again, I think it's just a matter of balancing that with the maintenance burden that you take on, when you integrate those sorts of tools. The other thing to think about is, sometimes there are very real quality differences. So like if you look at my expertise, Sonatype's expertise is software composition analysis and, managing vulnerabilities in open source. If you look at the open source space there, there's some great tools, but they pull from these public data sources, which are great. It's great to have this repository of public vulnerability data, things like the National Vulnerability Database. But there's often, a level of detail missing there that might be useful to know more precisely which of your applications are vulnerable, how they're vulnerable, advice on how best to remediate those vulnerabilities. So you have to think about, if not just the maintenance burden, but like by pulling in this tool, what's the quality difference? What's going to be the difference in terms of noise, right? Am I going to get more false positives? And then what's the burden in terms of remediation and software development work that imposes on you? And so, it's great that everyone's considering these trade-offs.